Have you ever looked at a list of business terms like trend analysis, SWOT, variance, and your eyes just kind of glaze over? Yeah, you are not alone. But what if all of that could be boiled down to just 3 simple ways of seeing the world? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do here. Turn all that confusion into some real clarity. You know, it's probably one of the biggest challenges any of us face today. We are swimming in information, right? But more data doesn't automatically mean better decisions. So the real question is, how do you cut through all that noise to find what really matters? The answer is analysis. And yeah, I know, that sounds super academic. I mean, look at this slide. It calls it epistemic machinery. But really, all it is, it's the engine we use to turn messy, raw information into something useful, into actual intelligence that helps us make the best possible choice. But here's the big secret. You don't need to memorize a dictionary full of jargon. Look, this is not about becoming some kind of walking textbook. The real goal is way simpler and honestly way more powerful than that. It's about learning how to see the world through different lenses, each one giving you a totally unique perspective. And that's the whole framework for this explainer, right here. We're going to call them the 3 lenses. First, we'll look back to understand yesterday. Then, we'll look around to see today. And finally, we'll look forward to shape tomorrow. See? Simple. Let's dive into that first one. Okay, so lens 1. To have any idea where you're going, you first have to understand where you've been. This lens is all about looking back. You got to put on your detective hat or maybe your historian hat and dig into your own data. And every good investigation starts with the same basic question. Before we do anything else, we have to look at what's already unfolded and ask what actually happened here. And, maybe even more important, why did it happen? So, one of the main ways you do this is with trend analysis. This is really just you being a data detective, looking for the story inside a timeline. Are sales climbing? Is there a pattern every summer? This is how you start to spot the momentum and the cycles that have brought you to where you are today. And then we have something called variance analysis. Now, if trend analysis is about what happened, variance analysis is about what was supposed to happen. You're basically asking, okay, our plan said X, but we ended up with Y. What gives? Was it something we did, or was it something totally out of our control? Answering that is how you learn from your wins and your losses. All right, so that's the past. Now let's shift to our second lens, because once we have a solid grip on where we've been, we can finally turn our focus to the here and now. You see, all that context we just built by looking back, it gives us the power to ask the next vital question. Based on everything that's happened, where exactly are we standing right this second? Okay, I absolutely love this next one because the analogy is just perfect. Just think of gap analysis like your own personal Google Maps for your goals. It shows you exactly where you are, it shows you where you want to go, that desired state, and it clearly marks the gap you've got to cross to get there. It's the blueprint for any real plan. And then, of course, you've got the old classic SWOT analysis. This gives you that complete 360-degree view of what's happening right now. It's super simple. You look inside at your strengths and weaknesses, the stuff you can control. And then you look outside at the opportunities and threats, the stuff you can't control but definitely have to deal with. Put them all together, and you've got a full map of your world. But here's a really important point. Seeing today isn't just about one thing. There are actually 2 fundamental ways you can gather information about the present. And to get the full picture, you really need both of them. On one hand, you've got qualitative analysis. This is all about the why. It's the human element, the stories, the feelings, the culture behind the data. You get this from talking to people, from watching them, from reading what they write. It gives you the rich context that numbers alone will never, ever give you. And then you've got the flip side, quantitative analysis. This is the what. This is the hard data, the cold numbers, the statistical patterns, the facts you can measure. And here's the thing, you absolutely need both. The quantitative tells you what's happening, but the qualitative is what tells you why. Okay, so we've looked back, we've looked around, we've earned the right to finally do the exciting part, look forward, and start thinking about how we can actually shape tomorrow. This is where all that hard work really pays off. It's where analysis stops being about just thinking and starts being about doing. All of our research culminates in this one critical, forward-looking question. Based on everything we now know, what's going to happen next and what's the smartest thing for us to do about it? And that leads us straight into predictive analysis.
The easiest way to think about this, it's like a really, really smart weather forecast, but for your goals. It takes all that data from the past, from lens 1, and uses it to make an educated statistical guess about what the future is likely to hold. It's about getting ahead of the curve.
But, looking ahead isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It's not just about what could go right. And that's where risk analysis comes in. It's the other side of that future-gazing coin. It makes us ask the tough questions, like what are the potential downsides here? And more importantly, are we ready if things go south? So there you have it, looking back, looking around, and looking forward. When you start putting these three lenses together, it stops being just a list of techniques. It actually becomes a way of thinking, a mindset. So let's bring this all home. So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway here? Just remember that analysis isn't one specific tool, it's a whole process. Its real power comes when you combine these different views, past, present, and future, to get that complete picture. And honestly, at the end of the day, this whole thing isn't about having all the answers. It's about getting better at asking the right questions. That's how you turn plain old information into powerful intelligence. So we've walked through this framework, the three lenses for making sense of pretty much anything. They're simple ideas, but they are incredibly powerful tools for thinking. So the only question left for you is this. Now that you have the lenses, what are you going to choose to see?